Hi, I'm Yolanda, and this is Speak On. And today we're talking about sex on film, from sexy scenes as seen on Bridgerton to Pornhub and a few bits in between. I'm joined by Lotus Lain, adult film star, intimacy coordinator, activist, advocate for the Free Speech Coalition, sex work advisor for the American Civil Liberties Union of Southern California, and many, many more. You might be one of the busiest people I've ever met. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing really well. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. And it's like it's the morning for you and it's the evening for me. How's your morning going so far?
It is going great. It's a very terrific Tuesday and it's just getting started.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so we're going to go straight into it because we have a lot of good questions. And before I spoke to you, I asked we like to crowdsource questions sometimes. So I say, this is what we're talking about. This is who we're talking to. What do you want to know? So I'll crack on. So first things first, and it's what everyone asked, and I know you have a link in your link tree that actually says people are going to ask, so read this link. But because we're on podcast, I'll ask you anyway. How did you become an adult film star?
so I had this sexual feeling inside of myself probably my entire life that I remember. It was something because of society I had always tried to ignore, push away, repress. And then sometime around the age of 30, as I was approaching it, not around the age of 30, as I was about to approach the age of 30, I realized nothing should be holding me back from this desire of mine that I've had my whole life. And I will gift myself my entrance into the porn industry as my dirty 30 gift to myself, allowing myself to do that. So it was kind of like a fuck you to all the societal norms that had made me feel confined in my sexuality. And then, now I'm here.
Love it. Oh my gosh, that's an amazing present for yourself for your 30s. I got myself a holiday. So I feel like
Well,
oh,
this is
you're
the
rubbish.
holiday that keeps
Yeah.
going.
That's right. And so how did you actually so when you said you that's it, you got to your 30s, that's what you decide to gift yourself. What was the first step? Like how does one start in the adult film industry?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like a quick plunge. I had researched some stuff. I had emailed some random directors in porn that had blogs. They, you know, didn't really sound too promising. So I had randomly just decided to do the old school route, and I went to a strip club, and you know. I say I disguised myself as a stripper because I wasn't there to strip. I was there to find who does porn
Hmm.
so I could get their contacts and get into porn.
Amazing.
So I ended up meeting a girl there who introduced me to a different director who booked me, and then I just started booking from there and always getting different people's information, whether it's email, social media, or contacts, so that way I could always check in and be like, hey, I'm available for work and that kind of thing. Kind of what agents do for girls, but I was doing it
Hmm.
for myself because I understood at the time agents weren't excited to sign me because I was an older woman. I'm 30 and I'm a
Hmm.
black woman and I have tattoos. So
Yeah.
these are all three things that were like working against me that I wasn't about to change. Like I can't take my tattoos off. I can't take my black skin off. I can't remove
Hmm.
my age. So I was just going to work
Yeah.
regardless.
And things so it's a weird thing, isn't it, age? Because I said I'm gonna be 40 this year. And because
Oh wow,
yeah,
I
yeah,
have no idea. You really look younger than me.
yeah.
I
And
thought you were in your
I think so.
20s.
And you look really young as well. We both look so young. So it's that thing where age really doesn't matter when it's written down. If you really care, it's a weird thing to care about when people can look so much younger, especially, this is
Right.
the best thing when you are gifted with melanin. You are
Yeah.
you're aging at a slower rate anyway. We're basically like Benjamin Buttoning out here. So
Aging backwards. Yeah, and
yeah.
that's kind of even one of the things that helped with my decision at the age of 30 to enter porn is I started noticing, as compared to my peers, people were very shocked when I told them my age, and I was
Hmm.
like, whoa. I should do something with this. I never did any kind of modeling or
Hmm.
acting other than just regular theater acting in school and stuff. So I just thought, hey, I like I like pretending and hamming it up, and I
Hmm.
never even really took my entrance into the industry as serious. I thought this was going to be like a fun, punk ass, wild, rebellious project that turned into my life.
Yeah. That's yeah, I love that because I started actually remember we were talking about this on Clubhouse. I started working as a lingerie model this year. And because someone asked me
Hmm.
last year to take part in like just a fun campaign, I did it for a second, but not properly because I like the work I had at the time. I was like, ah, not really going to work with the job I have. And now I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
this is a thing that I do now, and it's really, really
Yeah.
fun. And it started off as a thing, a bit of fun, and now I'm like, I've got like a really some really cool campaigns coming up, and I was like, yeah, this is what I do
Ooh.
now. Part
Yeah.
time, I take my clothes off for money, and it's awesome. And it's like I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it as well, especially at this age.
Yeah, and that's the thing. In an age when, in our 30s, and for you, your 40s, people, we are relegated to being like put up on the shelf. Like women
Mm,
like us should be done trying to be cute. And I just didn't feel that way. I felt like I am becoming cuter. So why should I, make myself modest because this is like the role that society says I should be playing as a quote older woman. But how could I fit into this feeling of an older woman when everyone looks at me and treats me and approaches me like I'm younger than I am? So, like I said, I
mhm.
was like, I might as well do something with that.
Yeah, I love
With,
that.
you
Absolutely,
know?
because yeah, again, the thing that happens all the time is that people. I've run my company for a while, and I represent influencers. I'd go to a meeting, and people
Oh,
would think I was their friend, and I'm like, no,
oh, I
this is
see
my
that.
company. I'm 20 years older than this person, or I'm 15 years older than this person. This is my client. I'm the oldest
Yeah.
person in this room a lot of the time, and they would just think I was just their like their brethren. I'm like, no, no. So yeah, so I completely get it. Yeah, just embrace it. Like, and I love that. It's
Hmm.
so positive. So so what was it like then? What is it like having sex on film? Because then you said obviously you started off stripping. It basically as a very clever way to network your way into your chosen profession. Um,
Yes.
so what was your first day like? Were you nervous? And what is it like just generally having sex on film when other people are looking at you?
I wasn't nervous. I was very excited. I was probably more idealistic than I am now about what would happen from there.
Hmm.
Not like I was set on stardom or anything. Fame or stardom or infamy was never like my goal. It was just more exposure to more sexual encounters and situations. So
Hmm.
that was exciting for me because to me, this is exactly what I wanted is like a different kind of sexual encounter or exploration, not just basic same boy, girl, man, woman sex. And I don't know, it just I like having other people watch. I've had that happen in college before. So to
Hmm.
me it was upping the ante and taking it to that next level that I wanted to always feel. So it was very exhilarating for me.
Yeah, and yeah, that's so. And what was like on your first day? How did they like get you ready to start? Is there like a process of sitting down, explaining everything, scripting, that kind of thing?
Uh, that time in 2012, not so much. It was like thank goodness I had a black female director as the first director I worked with. I got very lucky there. But she was just kind of oh, this is great, you're excited. She was really cool because I felt like out of everybody that I ever met, she was the one that kind of let me know, don't get your hopes up too much in this industry. I've had a
Hmm.
lot of dreams crushed. She literally told me this on my like second day of work, first day being like meeting people and being all excited. First day of actually having sex with people is a double booking. It was a two girls was the beginning of the day and then one guy at the end of the day. And
Hmm.
then in this work day, um yeah, it was more just seeing how different people acted and behaved. I'm very observant, so I won't just jump in being like, hey, this is me, I'm Lotus. I kind of like watch and observe people. So I watched my male talent and he went off set and he goes and smokes his own blunt. He doesn't share. Okay, that's his thing. And then like the girls come in. There was another girl, Taylor, now that I remember, she was so cute and fun. Oh, I miss her. And then the white girl, we were dominating her, so we were two black girls dominating her, and that was really fun just to have this like tag team energy together with two other girls and having a female director that was not bullshitting me on certain things, but she also
Hmm.
wasn't um the way men would, butter you up and hey
Yeah.
sweetie baby, you look so hot. There was none of this false feelings of like feeling overtly sexed up or sexualized, or it was very much like a job, and it was really cool, except the job was we were connecting bodies.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was just really great to realize, well, I don't know if it was great, but it was kind of an eye opener that um this was the first paycheck I had ever received in full that was
Mhm.
over $1,000.
Yeah. And that also for a
You
day's
know,
work as well. That's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it kind of, that kind of like floored me, because I had been retail manager, like, of retail shops. I'd been a manager of shops before, and even those paychecks
Mhm.
weren't up, like I think like the most I made was like 900, but then like taxes, so it was like 900. I like never broke that $1,000 barrier mark. I know that sounds so minuscule, but
Mhm.
it was a big eye opener of how short I was selling myself in the quote unquote respectable real world of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, when it comes to like having sex on film, is it because you said you went into it because you basically, you want to do something that you'd enjoy, etc. Is it an enjoyable experience, or does it feel quite clinical?
I think after some time in doing this, it can feel clinical. It definitely can. Or if you're doing repetitive scenes very frequently, and not just repetitive scene, but like the same type of scene, like a boy girl scene, which is a man and a woman together, like
Hmm.
just having sex. Those kinds of scenes, if you do them one after the other, after the other, after the other, can feel very repetitive and clinical. Um, that's why I like to try and mix it up. I try and really lean heavily on like queer or independent or kink BDSM type of things, because in those scenarios, whether it's a boy and a girl all the time, it's always going to be a different um type of rigging of the implements, different tools used, different impact place points hit. So that's why I enjoy that kind of stuff
Yeah,
more.
that's awesome. What did you do before you started this?
So before I was in the fashion world, I was a merchandiser,
Hmm.
and I worked for like brands like Calvin Klein, Warner's Bras, Levi's jeans, and that was fulfilling at the time, but it also was a realization that I will never get farther than just merchandising for these companies.
Yeah.
Um, just organizing their merchandise. And that, as a long term prospect, did not excite me in any way.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So you also work as an intimacy coordinator. So how did your like work in like adult films lead to your work as an intimacy coordinator?
Well, the really cool thing about working in the adult industry that I think few people will really understand or even believe is you really get a good sense of consent and how to communicate and how to
Mhm.
set boundaries and how to prepare and navigate possibility, like you're basically trying to eliminate surprises.
Mhm.
That's the whole thing. You're trying to eliminate surprises along the way, like a surprise brush up against the breast.
Mhm.
That wasn't in the script. You were supposed to just grab my hips or something. These are the kinds of things that create those misunderstandings, those moments of confusion, or things left unsaid, is where
Mhm.
you find violations occur, is where you find people feel violated or feel unheard or feel later on like they did something that was regretful to them,
Yeah.
or they allowed something that was regretful to happen. Because it, if you know what is going to happen, you're prepared for it. And when things
Mhm.
happen the way you know they are supposed to happen, it's wonderful and everything is great. But once you have that playbook in your mind, it's just like coordinating a fight scene. If someone goes and like left hook punches you when they were supposed to grapple you, you just got socked in the fucking face,
Yeah.
unexpectedly. And it's the same thing with sex. So intimacy coordinate, it's just kind of a coordinating of the moves, and not even to such a specific degree, but knowing, hey, we're going to start out with some light touching and kissing here, move down to the nipples, look up in a romantic stare, and when they do that, you're going to do this.
Mhm.
And those are the kinds of things that you kind of lay out, so that way it even eliminates some of that awkwardness of like, oh, we just bumped heads because we don't know which move we're going to do next. It just
Yeah.
makes for a smoother move.
Yeah.
Yeah, smoother movie,
Well, I
excuse
suppose it makes it look nicer and sexier as well, because otherwise you kind of it looks like awkward teenagers like which way should I
Right,
go?
and
Yeah.
those moments do happen, and you want to eliminate as much cuts as possible or as many resets as possible, especially when you're dealing with a penis owning person because they have to
Hmm.
keep that erection up. So, especially in situations like that, or if the movie is set in a kind of romantic tone, you want to lay everything out so it can just flow.
Yeah. And why does I mean, you've explained quite a lot there, like what an intimacy coordinator does and why the role exists. But then, how
Hmm.
is I know the role exists more so now in mainstream film and TV as well. Why have they
Hmm.
start? Why is this role expanding, and why is it now being kind of, I suppose, used in the wider film industry and TV industry?
Well, I think the with the explosion of the Me Too movement and the understanding of that whole culture and environment, I think
Hmm.
in a whole, like our whole society has realized we have been navigating in a culture of assumed or forced consent. People are not given informed consent in so
Hmm.
many areas of life. In so many other jobs you're kind of duped, or bait and switched, or now one thing is now this other thing. And we realize now, as I think as humans are starting to even just understand humanity a little bit more, that that is not a healthy way to navigate any kind of relationship or working or personal.
Hmm.
um so it even comes down to things like, so in Hollywood sets, I could definitely see where it's necessary because you have people that aren't necessarily used to using their bodies in an intimate way. Maybe they're just doing it for the one scene, just
Hmm.
like the way you would a fight scene or a dance scene. They're not used to just being professional dancers. You have
Yeah.
to have a dance coordinator there helping them, show them how to do things so they don't break their foot. And I feel like
Hmm.
this is just the evolution of that understanding of what's necessary in these kind of situations as well, intimate situations. you
Yeah.
know you can't have a director that doesn't understand the way a feminine person feels, directing a male actor to do these things to the feminine person's body without understanding. They need to ask the feminine person, is this okay if we include this in the scene? Would that make you feel comfortable?
Hmm.
Those kinds of just small changes are being made along the way, I think, in Hollywood and in our industry, to
Yeah.
just make everyone have a more positive outcome on set. Like, why on earth would anybody want a world where people are coming out scathed and battered and bruised and abused because of lack of communication?
Yeah. Absolutely. And from when obviously Me Too, these stories kind of burst forth from that movement, and so many stories came like
Mhm.
out of TV and film where people were talking about during those intimate moments where things had gone too far. And if you're under pressure
Right.
and then you're in a room and there's a set and
Absolutely.
time is money
Right.
and everybody's looking at
Yeah.
you, you're not necessarily
And
going to
maybe
say
you're
this is
working
making
with,
me uncomfortable.
yeah, or maybe you're working with stars that are bigger than you, so you don't,
Yeah.
as the smaller newer star, want to shake things up or say this is
Hmm.
bad. You're just grateful to be there. So opening this up makes it easier for everybody to be able to speak up, because um sadly, the people that came before me, that came before a lot of Hollywood actresses, we had to pave the way. They had to pave the way for the abuse and
Hmm.
suffering that they tolerated, so that way now people like us can voice our concerns and opinions on set. And it's
Yeah.
not a lawsuit, it's just a quick, hey, I'm not down with that, I'm not going to do that, but I will do this.
Yeah.
you know those kinds of just teaching people in a whole how to be more assertive is what it's all about, and
Mhm.
understanding your rights
Yeah.
to information.
That's brilliant. So
About what's going to happen with you. Yeah.
are there any tools of the trade? So I was looking up like intimacy coordinator a little bit online and thinking, okay, what is it that people have to use? So what's your typical day like, and what kind of tools do you use?
um as far as tools go, there's many different templates that the industry uses, called a consent checklist.
Hmm.
um some people use them in different ways, where they send it out during the booking stages. So
Hmm.
before anyone's on set, they already have their list of do's and don'ts, what they are enthusiastic about doing, what they're not willing to do, so things of that nature. So that way, and some do it while they're on set, and some record it on film for extra liability. Like, they will read someone's consent checklist off with the partner right there next to them, so everyone, including the camera, and the record keeper hears, yes,
Hmm.
I am okay with doggy style. No, I'm not okay with slapping. Yes, I am okay with choking. No,
Hmm.
I am not okay with spit. So it goes
Yeah.
some go very specific like that down the line, which I think are all great tools. It depends on what works for what set, but definitely having some sort of consent checklist
Hmm.
helps because it informs the performer themselves too about their own boundaries.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, "Oh, well, you're who you are, part scene partner. I'll let you do whatever you want. You're so hot or you're so awesome and popular." It takes that element out of the way and is like, "No, I really wouldn't like someone to stick a stiletto up my ass, actually."
Yeah.
you know?
And I suppose because you're in like adult film where everybody is taking like clothes off, do you know much about tools that would be used on, say, a TV or film set where people have where there is kind of more modesty, as it were?
I definitely know that they use pasties and they use
Hmm.
barriers of that sort to prevent actual like genitalia from touching.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm not a Hollywood intimacy coordinator, although I'm not
Hmm.
opposed to it.
Yeah.
If, if the opportunity were to arise, I know that there are different barriers in that case. I mean, baby wipes are always necessary on set. You
Hmm.
always need to have baby wipes to wipe, just even armpits. People get nervous, they start to sweat. That
Hmm.
nervous sweat smells different than other sweat. You want people to feel fresh and comfortable, because once they start feeling icky and sticky, then they're not going to be comfortable. It's all about creating, not just eliminating surprises, but also creating an environment of extreme comfort.
Yeah.
um I don't mind being like a gopher for someone who is butt naked on set. That's
Yeah.
the way I feel. I don't I feel like as soon as this person is butt naked on set, I am like, they are my goddess and I will do anything for their comfort. Or
Yeah.
my god if they're a man. Like, because you're in such a vulnerable state when you're naked,
Mhm.
you don't want to ask and beg and wait for even 1 minute for someone to just please hand you a tissue.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like right there with the tissue box. Like, it's those kinds of things, anticipating people's needs when they're nude in front
Mhm.
of 10 or even 5 other people is something that people need to be acutely aware of. So those kinds of tools, even a robe, like during cuts, you don't want to just have them sitting there laying there naked while everyone else is talking, trying to figure out lighting positions and stuff, wearing clothing, and then the naked person's just sit like, hand them a robe. Like, you have to have those kinds of things available,
Mhm.
because yes, even though they're ready and willing to be naked and down for this scene, it is an act and a performance, and you need to make everything conducive to their comfort level.
Yeah. And how many people are on set on average? Is it, or is it just, does it just
It can
depend on the
depend.
size of the
Yeah,
production?
yeah, it really depends. There's sets where there's only one other person on set.
Mhm.
There's sets where there's 20 people running, like so many different people, and it's a lot. But not so much anymore because of the COVID restrictions.
Mhm.
But before, so I've seen huge sets, like if there's sets with extras and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, it all
Wow.
depends.
My goodness, you'd have to be so comfortable to be naked in front of that many people as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you just develop an extreme sense of comfort that I feel. I joke and I say I could get naked anywhere. I could twerk in a church. I
Mhm.
could make out with your best friend or husband, and I would feel nothing about it. It's
Yeah.
just an act that I am able to perform.
Mhm. Yeah. Just like just I just suppose, yeah, like you're just doing your job
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes people will ask me, like, "Are you and Anna really best friends and you really had sex?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "How is that?" And I'm like, "It's perfectly like my other best friendships, except we've had sex and we've made each other orgasm. It's awesome."
Actually, I have a question. They said that. How much of that is real, and how much of that is like, look, they're expecting me to, so I'm just gonna.
There are definitely real orgasms happening. I mean, there's definitely some good scene partners that help you hit the spot.
Mhm.
And then there's moments where you don't necessarily feel that, but maybe you are like, I don't know, in a different headspace or something, and you can't like orgasm. But you, I mean, me, myself, professional performers, you get used to a sense of timing in your head to spend on certain acts.
Mhm.
And then, after a certain amount of time in your mind on this one section, you need to make it orgasm.
Yeah.
Or if there's been a certain time been spent on this section of my body, I need to show that happening, that build up and that orgasm happening. So there are some times where it's fake, and there's sometimes when it's very, very real.
Yeah. Okay. What do your like friends and family think of your job?
With my parents, is definitely like a surprise. I think they always saw me as like this good girl academic person, which I was always really good in school. But I
Hmm.
also felt like that was something that held me in a placement box. Like, this is what is expected of you because you get good grades. You can't go to beauty school. That's for people that aren't smart. Things of
Mm.
that nature, that kind of, that those were the things that I felt restricted me before my entrance into porn. So once that reality and truth got the lid blown off of it, I think I was able to just be a lot more honest with my family about who I am, what kind of
Mhm.
person I am. And I have such honest conversations with my mom and dad now. It's like, TMI, mom, I did not need to know what kind of sex life you and dad had. But it's awesome because I actually, as TMI as it is, it makes me
Mhm.
feel really connected to my mom in a real womanly sisterhood way that's not
Mhm.
just parental.
Yeah.
I understand where she was coming from in her 30s. I
Mhm.
know what she was going through when she dated guys. Like, I get it now. She shares some dating tales with me, and I don't feel so lost because perhaps before I might not have talked as deeply about the kinds of relationships I have because I wouldn't want my mom to think I'm deviant or something.
Mhm. That's so interesting because I mean, when I speak to my mum, I just tell her stuff to shock her because it makes me laugh that she has a reaction. So I'm not even saying things that are true. I just like me and my sisters just do it just to mess with her. So all
Oh,
the
that's
time,
funny. I love
yeah, just
it.
like so
It's
she
so
can go,
fun to mess with
oh,
moms.
exactly,
Yeah, it's so
exactly,
fun to get that shock out of moms, right?
yeah. And then sometimes I'm like, it's not true, don't worry about it. And then sometimes like, or is it? You don't know.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
So
But yeah, actually,
yeah.
I honestly think it was like part of my mom's attitude about sex and sex
Hmm.
work that brought me even to this place. I remember being young, and even though my mom's a very conservative, shy, like sweet, not outspoken person, she
Hmm.
always I always remember her saying, I don't think prostitution should be illegal. It's just two consenting adults doing what they want to do behind closed doors. Who can
Yeah.
make rules about that? And I remember her thinking this, which, in growing up in the 80s in a conservative life, and that's really radical just to say. But I remember
Mm.
she kind of said that, and I was like, yeah, mom's right.
Yeah. So do people ask you a lot for tips? Because I mean, at this point, you're just like you're basically an expert. So I was just thinking. So after this, I'm like, wait, let me write down some questions. But yeah, like, does everybody come to you like to you for tips now?
A lot of people do, and I don't even realize I'm giving out tips sometimes when I'm talking. But yeah, I guess I've gotten used to the way the body works and working with other bodies, that I maybe take some of this knowledge for granted. but
Hmm.
but yeah, people do ask for tips on even things like anal, and I'm like, isn't there enough workshops and YouTubes out there explaining it? I didn't know that I'm still like spreading new knowledge. That's cool.
That's good. I feel like and maybe this is the book or podcast for you in the future. Is just Lotus's sex tips. I mean,
Right, maybe
why
so.
not? Why not? Just ask Lotus.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, I mean, people like to hear me talk. I just think I'm so all over the place, like you mentioned earlier, that I need to figure out one focus that I would
Mhm.
be able to like reel in as a topic. But yeah,
Yeah. I
maybe it is
mean,
just giving tips.
yeah, I mean that would be brilliant. Why not? Like Instagram Live. Let's just. I think maybe we should do that. We need to get that in the diary. An Instagram Live where people can just ask you
Actually,
tips.
yeah, there you go. Prepare myself for that.
So earlier on, you touched on the Me Too movement and intimacy coordination. What relationship does the Me Too movement have with porn?
We definitely had our own Me Too reckoning in our industry as
Hmm.
well. I mean, currently one of the biggest violators of people's consent, Ron Jeremy,
Mm.
is um is in police custody.
Yeah, I saw.
He hasn't gone to trial yet, but yeah, I mean, for these accusations of, groping, molesting, I believe there's even a rape accusation in there. I didn't get into the details, but yeah, just like with Harvey Weinstein and so many of these other men in mainstream Hollywood, these were like those unspoken secrets, but everybody
Mhm.
knows about it. But, we all know to stay away from so and so, or,
Mhm.
everyone knows if you work with so and so, you're going to have a rough day or something. So those, those unfortunate cases existed where I would say Ron Jeremy was like the Harvey Weinstein, where everyone knew about it, but it was sort of accepted because of his
Mhm.
prominence in the industry.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, there was a lot of lesser known ones, and I would say they were lesser known because the people that they violated were so deeply hurt they never spoke out about it.
Goodness. Yeah.
And I don't think that they have the ability or the courage or the platform or people willing to listen until the Me Too movement just gained momentum like a snowball. And
Mhm.
then because it was where we saw all these things coming out, we're like, just as women, not just as porn stars, but as women, I'm sure many of us reflected and we're like, wow, I had an experience like that too.
Mm.
Because even I was like, wow, I had an experience like that too in my early 20s when I worked at a shoe store. I didn't realize
Mhm.
my boss was like sexually harassing me. Ew.
Yeah.
So it was things like that. And you know there's been a few people that have been deplatformed, demonetized. Unfortunately, not all of the abusers.
Mhm.
It's not a perfect world. We're not perfectly there yet. We're not perfectly healed.
Mhm.
There are still people working, not even under the radar, but that have violated people's consent, and maybe because of some sort of untouchable quality of they're making other people a lot of money,
Mhm.
or you know whatever,
Yeah.
but there are still people left to sift out.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, these things don't necessarily rob people of their privilege and power, do they?
Right,
Sometimes it's just
exactly.
like,
No.
it's just a thing, and then we forget about it. Because as even in mainstream media, we know loads and loads of people that are
Right,
just wandering around, still making
right.
films and shows and everything else.
I just feel like there's so much more brilliance that could come out of non-pedophiles,
Yes,
um,
absolutely. Yeah.
for once. The same things that you see in Hollywood also happen in our industry. Nepotism, unfairness, people
Hmm.
because of their power or the money they make for certain people won't be checked until maybe, hopefully, a later date. I mean, better late than never, but I don't think that. I mean, one of the things I realize is there's people that are new, that don't read news, maybe, that just
Hmm.
know someone based off of a persona, off of some notoriety, and they will still work with them.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's ethical people that know the truth, that know history, that just can't bring themselves to work with those people. And
Hmm.
those are the people I work with.
Yeah. That's good. That's good to know there's like that side of it. So what kind of changes have happened? I mean, you talked there about some people being deplatformed, etc. Um,
Hmm.
what kind of changes have happened in your industry as a result, positive or negative? What are the kind of the main things you've noticed?
Well, I would say positively in our industry, definitely major studios are just listening more to performers' concerns, needs, and desires, because they realize, especially in this era of like direct to fan, selling with nudes or content or quick video clips, that they don't hold the power that they used to over
Mhm.
us, as far as even making us famous. Some people can get fame and notoriety even without ever being posted on a professional production site. With that said, I think a lot more performers are empowered to speak up or to put their foot down about what they are willing to accept and tolerate on set,
Mhm.
or even in a booking before getting there.
Yeah.
Or speaking out and knowing to speak to the right persons when something does happen, so that way it doesn't just get brushed under the table.
Hmm. That's really good. That's good to know that
So I
there are these things
definitely
happening.
I definitely feel like there's an era of you know, confidence and self-assuredness coming out from more performers. wanting to protect themselves and to speak up, and realizing we keep each other safe by speaking up about what has happened,
Mhm.
to us. So that way the next person isn't also violated, and then five more people get violated. So it's one of those things. It's slow. People are still have, fear and trepidation about speaking up. But I think just the more people see it repeatedly happening, when it does happen, gives people power and confidence to speak up if it ever happens to them too.
Mhm. Is it like quite a tight knit community?
In a sense, it is. I feel like there are tight knit niche communities within the entire adult industry.
Mhm.
The industry itself is so widespread. There's like UK adult industry, European adult industry, American adult industry, and South American adult industry, and Japanese adult industry. So
Mhm.
there's all these adult industries worldwide. Within American adult industry, you have the mainstream glossy production porn niche of people that all know each other and work together, and sometimes there's the kink and BDSM group of people, and then independent and queer kind of
Mhm.
performers, and then sometimes there are people that are able to navigate all in between.
So
But yeah, I
you're
would say it's
yeah.
tight knit within each group.
Ah, okay, that's good. And then in terms of like being a black woman in this industry, what is that like? Because obviously we know what shit we have to go through on a daily
Oh
basis
yeah.
just for waking up and having the audacity to blink. So what is it like when you're in an industry where you're going to be facing, I mean, from there is an element of sexism,
Oh yeah.
misunderstanding, being fetishized. Just the
Oh yeah.
general shit we go through every day. What else? What other things do you have to put up with Lotus?
I mean, to be 100% honest, the most disappointing thing has been like lack of love and support from black men in the industry, and not just like black men in the industry, but like black male fans of the industry.
Hmm.
They love to shit on us. They love to call us like bed winches if we have a scene with like one or two more white guys than their preference. But they love
Yeah.
to applaud black males for fucking all the snow bunnies and getting
Mm,
that white bitch, and like
yeah.
it's like this disgusting stupid display of dominance that makes no sense, because I don't see why I can't be dominating the white guy, or
Mm,
take conquering him in some way, and like I'm the bed winch. Okay, whatever. Anyway,
mm,
I would counter to say that the men that celebrate that so much are the bed winches.
yeah.
But
It's
anyway,
But then to be fair, like I suppose what you've actually said is something that's echoed quite a lot in real life anyway, which we have
yeah,
discussed ourselves
yeah,
separately from
even
this.
yeah,
Yeah, the
exactly.
attitude of there is a subsection of black men that have a really specific weird attitude towards black women.
Right,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's annoying that that is also echoed in your industry, and you're just
Yeah, I
like,
mean, there are
can I
some
not get a
good,
break anywhere?
right, there are some really good black men that are very supportive. Isaiah Maxwell, he's like top of the
Mhm.
list. But then there's others where you're just like, dude, like I can't even talk to you.
Yeah.
Um, and beyond that, I would say like from the white men, a lot of white men performers will whisper to me they want me to dominate them or peg them. Peg them means
Hmm.
like strap on, fuck them in the butt, but not on camera, because then that will make them gay and they can't have that be seen on camera.
Okay.
So that's been a strange thing that has been admitted to me during past events, and then from like maybe like white male directors or like producer like decider guys, they whisper to me like, oh, I always loved black women, they're so much
Uh,
better than white women, you're so much more fun in bed, and do, and it's so funny
yeah.
because it's always these white men that don't book black women, but you want to fuck us,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so like there's that,
You've just described an average day on Tinder, though, hun.
like literally.
It's like,
It's a real reflection of society, and then you have some really awesome white women allies who totally get it that you don't have to explain things to, and then you have
Mhm.
one that you take entire times of your day, weeks out at a time, to explain over and over and over what they can do with all of the power and influence they have with their white womanness. And some of them are like, oh my god, did you just say that I'm being mean and racist? I can just leave, I don't have to be here.
Yeah.
or
Oh God.
or
Yeah.
oh, we have to talk about race but in a non-funny way, I can't be funny and like make a joke. No bitch, you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of shit that will make you just roll your eyes into the back of your head and
Yeah,
never come back.
I feel like 65% of being a black woman is just your eyes can like dislocating
Yeah, right. Just
from
constantly
rolling them
rolling
so
back.
much.
Yeah,
Honestly, yeah,
constantly.
exactly. Just constantly having to pop them back in the sockets. But yeah,
I swear. Yeah.
and what you're saying then about the whole when white guys come up to you and say things is like, either they really want to tell you, they've never slept with a black girl before. And I'm like, hun, a hole in the wall is a hole in the wall. There's nothing different that's gonna happen. I hate to upset you, but
Yes.
it's not any different.
It's not
Yeah,
gonna gyrate or vibrate or
exactly.
do
Yeah,
something else. So
exactly. The vagine doesn't twerk independently. I don't know what it is you're
right. I
expecting.
think they
Yeah.
think it does though. They're like,
Mm.
those black pussies twerk.
Exactly.
I
They
need that.
twerk, and then when you take your pants down, Whitney Houston starts playing. I don't know what they think is going to happen. It's like literally, yeah, that's it. Drop it, and then
Actually,
they're
that
like,
would be fabulous if
"Can you
Whitney
imagine
Houston
that?"
started playing with
Exactly. Or
my
you drop your
panties
pants, and
come
it's
down.
just like
Right.
a really good drum and bass beat.
Right. I want that kind of drama. I need that kind of drama. I need to
Exactly.
deliver that kind of drama with my panty dropping.
Exactly. To just set the mood. So, what's the mood today? Is it like, do you want like a party mood, or
Right.
are we feeling a little bit melancholy today? Yeah.
Totally.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh. So,
goodness.
what about like relationships as well, kind of between co-stars and things, like away from filming? And like, does that happen a lot? Because I suppose if you're kind of having sex technically, like on screen, it all gets a bit clinical and technical. Could that extend be like away from the cameras, or is it just like, nah, it's happening here and that's it?
Yeah, I do like to have sex off camera with partners.
Hmm.
I do like to date. I do have like a boyfriend person,
Hmm.
so that's like my main outside of work sex
Yeah.
partner. But we're open, so I do like women too. It just feels like though, for most of my female encounters, I do like to capture them on camera.
Hmm. Yeah.
I just feel like why
Yeah.
not?
Might as well make some money out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So outside of like, when you have your clothes on, when you're not intimacy coordinating, etc., you work with the Free Speech Coalition, which to our UK listeners, it's the North American Trade Association for the adult industry. So what does the organization do, and how does it help the industry?
So we protect the adult industry's rights and freedoms to even exist. We were established in 1991. A lot of the producers at the time were coming under fire from federal obscenity charges, excuse me, against a
Mhm.
lot of the porn being produced in the 90s. So they band together to form Free Speech Coalition to kind of have enough money to beat this, and they did. So
Yeah.
I would always sum it up quite simply as FSC is the reason why porn is legal today,
Wow. Okay,
because
that's awesome.
there are always, and beyond that case in the 1990s, there are always continuous new legislations and laws and regulations coming up trying to stifle porn, trying to eliminate it from the internet, just trying to deregulate it out of existence. And so
Mhm.
we hire lobbyists that fight against that,
Mhm.
lawyers and lobbyists. Beyond that, like outer work that we do as far as like legislature goes, we also maintain the pass system, which is performer availability screening services, which is
Mhm.
our testing system. It's
Yeah.
very robust as far as the contact tracing and touch with medical director there, so it's all contained and not open to any kind of privacy leaks.
Yeah. I mean, it's surprising that I mean, it's not. It is and it isn't. It isn't surprising that people are opposed to porn, considering so many people watch it
Yeah,
and it has such a huge
exactly.
audience. And it's like I love when people get annoyed at it, and it's like, why are you pretending you've never watched it before?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
is it when no one's watching you, you were just shame, you were just literally huddled in shame in a
right,
corner on Pornhub, just wanking furiously into a
right,
cup. I
right.
think that's what they're doing. That's what I can imagine, just all like, I don't know, crying while they're doing it because of the shame that they put on themselves.
I mean, and
What's
wonder
people's
if some
problems?
people do. I wonder if some people do afterwards. And I hope that, we can address that in
Mm,
society, like why we make people feel shame for the ultimate pleasure.
mm,
Sex and sexual gratification.
yeah.
Why is it that we as a society can allow, violence to be so regular when
Mhm.
pleasure is not. We have boxing matches that people watch as a family, UFC fights that people rent and watch as a whole family or on big screens at a bar. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that you have to have porn on a big screen at a bar
Mhm.
or anything like that, but why is it so regulated like it's like the detriment of society? I just don't understand that. And I think people's hyper focus on porn being so dangerous lets other real dangers grow and become out of control. A very
Yeah.
real example of that is here in the US, the white supremacy situation. We
Mhm.
have our lawmakers that are falsely focusing on porn as a public health crisis when the
Mhm.
entire time we have white supremacists murdering children in high school, and we
Mhm.
have them fucking trying to ruin our government and take over the Capitol in an insurrection. They even tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan.
Yeah.
That is white supremacy to the core, ruining our country.
Mhm.
But porn is the public health crisis. And
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Had they taken their heads out of their moralistic asses and been able to focus on the real dangerous threat in our country,
Mhm.
we might not have such a big, overgrown population of white supremacist underground terrorists because they were just
Mhm.
allowed to happen.
Yeah, because they were never seen as terrorists. It's
Right,
like you're saying,
exactly.
there is this hyper focus on, and hyper focus is on things that usually hurt women
Right,
more as well.
exactly.
Just this, it's just like constant policing of your bodies,
Hmm.
of our bodies,
Our
of our
expression.
uteruses. It's just like, honestly, just stay out of my vagine. It's none of your
Yeah,
business. It's, yeah, it's wild, isn't it? But
it
then, of
is.
course, in that same breath, that all, I suppose, them allowing those things to flourish also benefits them, because they
Right,
completely support that agenda on
right,
the down low. And they'll be
exactly.
against abortion except for when they're paying for their mistresses or their
Right,
daughters. Yeah,
exactly.
it's insane, isn't it? We could go on forever about the hypocrisies of these things. So
Yeah,
what
and there's a
kind of
lot.
what kind of changes and progress do you want to see in the industry, in this year and in the coming years?
I would say the kind of changes I hope to see in our industry in the coming years and this year that I've already started to see, is more recognition for versatile performers. We
Hmm.
don't have to be just one way sexually. And I think that's one way we misinform the public because the public looks to us for their sexual understanding. Maybe not all for education, but
Hmm.
definitely for their sexual understanding.
Hmm.
And if you show people that only cis male bodies have sex with trans women bodies, and you put it in the gay section, a cis female does not even feel that trans females are for them. I can't even look at them.
Hmm.
But as we progress and trans bodies are more accepted, and I had a scene with a trans woman, and more cis females are having scenes with trans women, and that's not as categorized as gay male stuff anymore. We're seeing trans women as women.
Hmm.
You start to understand more pleasure is available to you
Hmm.
in from more areas. Even just yesterday, one of the biggest, most prolific male talents on the straight side said and asked his audience, would you like if I started shooting scenes with trans or boys? And the response from his audience was overwhelmingly positive, which I'm sure made him very nervous
Hmm.
because that's one of the things that holds a lot of males in our industry back is
Hmm.
this toxic hypermasculinity that especially comes from the outside world and is also reinforced in our industry as well. But comments and fans saying gay or whatever detrimental words that they want to attribute to that type of behavior, but we are the ones that inform what sex is happening. So if we're behind on that,
Hmm.
there are going to be other people, maybe not porn industry center, but other content creators that will make the kind of sexual content that speaks to the way real people understand sex. So even in terms of like non-binary people, keeping things in terms like on websites organized by like men or women or
Hmm.
gay and straight, I would hope those kinds of things start going away
Yeah.
because I think it just makes people be placed in a box that they might not even be comfortable in, but
Hmm.
or they might not even be aware that they should be in.
Yeah.
And I think we need to open up ourselves more. Hope and oh, that was the other thing too.
Mhm.
With XBiz Awards just this past one, they're really the industry's leader for where I hope the industry will go.
Mhm.
Their performer of the year was they did that they just announced this year. Dante Cole is a male performer, but not gay male, not trans, like he goes across the board. So
Yeah.
this is unheard of for a man like this to get recognition, because just a couple of years ago, even just when I started, these men were called crossover. They were like pariahs in the industry. They were being
Mhm.
scapegoated as the ones bringing in infections and diseases and all of this stuff. So
Mhm.
for to have someone of his caliber that fucks on the gay side, trans side, straight side, bisexual sides, and everything in between, win that Performer of the Year award really shows what it takes to be Performer of the Year in these coming years, in
Yeah.
this life now, not in the past where it was
Mhm.
like big booby, most white girl that gets fucked the most or something
Yeah.
by just dicks,
Yeah.
like he does it all. And I feel like that it should be celebrated, and I'm glad that it is. That's awesome.
That's really good. And I suppose, like you were saying, it's just a reflection of what is happening in society. And if these things that I suppose in whether it's in porn, TV, film, mainstream, anything, just start normalizing what is already happening, then there are barriers that are broken down by porn as well. I
Right.
mean, obviously, yeah, there are fetishes and there are categories, etc., that are within it. But think about that normalization, and if people, like you were saying, it can really help people get away from that hyper masculinity that would stop them from dating a trans woman and stuff.
Right.
If it was just like, well, it's just sex is sex, are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. That should
Right.
kind of be the
Most
focus.
importantly, you yourself should not judge yourself for the pleasure that you're having. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly,
that's
exactly.
what I hope people start to get more out of porn, less shame from
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And I think it's interesting as well, like this, I'd say over the past year or so, seeing more and more people talking about sex work online and on social media. And it's like, I suppose there's
Yeah.
an increased kind of mainstream visibility because, the sex
Exactly.
industry is not pandemic proof. So there's been lots of
Yes.
crossover to OnlyFans, which has really opened everyone's eyes to it. And obviously QAnon's absolute obsession with Pornhub and everything else. Oh, there's so
Exactly.
much chatter and everything going on. What is it
Yeah.
like being on social media as a sex worker?
On social media, it's very strange because first you build up a big audience, and then it's like then the social media apps, it feels like they just like shut a door on you and you're shadow banned, and then nobody sees you anymore, even though you have all these followers. Maybe like less than 1% of your followers see you. I'm so
Yeah.
serious. Like I have 80,000 followers and I get like 200 likes on a post. I don't live
Wow.
for likes, but it
Mm.
just shows me the way I am being like hidden.
Yeah.
So you're
So much
hidden.
censorship right now.
Right, so much censorship, and even people that follow me say, like, when they try to type in my name, like they
Mm.
have to type in the entire full
Oh
name,
yeah,
and
it doesn't
sometimes
come up.
even
Yeah.
then it still doesn't pop up, so
Yeah.
it's like I'm completely hidden. So
Mm.
there's that. For the people that do it, like, see me, they have to heavily interact with me, like almost on a
Hmm.
constant daily basis, just
Yeah.
in order to see me. So it's like you kind of have to force engagement in a way,
Mm.
or like milk it out of people. As far as like who follows me, I would say me, because I do so many things. I have a lot of like, horny guys, horny queers, sex worker activists, advocate, ally people,
Hmm.
sex educator friends. And because I am open about what I do with my friends, I have a few like regular people that know me in real life that follow me too. A lot of the messages that I get, my God, I feel like a lot of people aren't even real fans. They just like freeloaders, because they're like, oh, do you even still shoot? Like, if you were my fan and you follow me and you know what I do, you literally, all you have to do is click my links and you see that I still shoot.
Yeah.
Asking someone that is like, are you even paying attention?
Yeah. And they just all they're really asking is, what can you give me for
Give me for
free?
free. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all they're asking. So
Yeah.
usually at this point, like, I'm so fed up with it, I just block them. I'm like, just go find the free shit. You don't even need
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
me on
I mean, you
Instagram
have
asking me. You don't.
extensive information on your
Right.
link tree as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's listed all below. There's like 20 links. You'll be able to
Yeah.
find you somewhere. Yeah.
Right. So I just like, I don't even want someone like that bothering me on my Instagram. Just go look at the free
Mhm.
shit then, and I don't even have to look at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as far as like my good fans, my real fans, they're so supportive. They always say like I'm really happy because a lot of people say they get a lot of flack from their fans or their fans are so picky.
Mhm.
I've changed in some ways over the industry or over my time in the industry, and my fans have always been supportive. I didn't have blonde hair to start, and when I
Mhm.
transitioned to blonde, like they, no one said ew, weird, or anything
Mhm.
disgusting. I also stopped shaving my armpits in quarantine, and a lot
Mhm.
of people like once I even did it just to like see who I would like lose or who I would throw off or whatever. I like posted a picture like, if you love me, like braid my arm hair or armpit
Yeah.
hair or something like. So even made like kind of nasty posts, and they were
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, we love your armpits, we love like." Like so, okay, another thing to fetishize. So I
Yeah.
gotta hold the armpits back, just like I gotta hold the boobs back and the toes back and everything else, because you're gonna fucking fetishize everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. It's honestly fun. I do love my fans. They're funny. They keep me going. The trolley, like horny, like freeloaders, I don't even consider them fans. They're just trolley
Mhm.
horny freeloaders, and they
Yeah.
exist everywhere. They would have
Hmm.
hollered at me walking down the street to the store.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're everywhere, aren't they? And especially at the moment, because everyone's bored, they're just going to be
Yeah, so I
literally,
feel like
yeah.
even my regular friends that aren't sex industry involved even get like
Mm.
they actually get more ridiculous horny messages sometimes. Like because I don't know if guys like the shock value. That I think that
Mhm.
must be what it is sometimes, but like literally to go to a girl that's not a sex worker and be like, I pay this and this much to suck your panty juice. Like, what the
Mm.
fuck?
Oh,
Who talks
yeah.
like that to people that aren't
Hmm.
offering
Yeah,
that?
people will ask for pictures of my feet, and I'm like, you don't want pictures of my feet. I haven't had a pedicure all lockdown. Um, so, like you mentioned before about kind of being shadow banned,
Yeah.
etc. Do you feel like the whole kind of pushing? Do you think Instagram, in particular, sort of about Instagram, just because that's where a lot of people are active? Do you think Instagram is trying to push sexual workers off social media?
Definitely so. And if not, I think that they only allow the sexual people to be sexual on their site that have paid an agency for
Yeah.
some kind of like special segmenting away from regular population.
Mm.
I'm not like an analytics person where I get all deep in the data. I can just observe and see the things that I've observed over time in a pattern, and
Hmm.
that's the pattern I've seen. People with blue check marks or people that have some sort of
Well, they're
PR
famous. Yeah.
or
Hmm.
protection of that sense, they usually can get away with more than people that don't.
Hmm.
And I don't covet their blue check mark. I don't covet their verification and their confirmation of my validity. Fuck them.
Yeah, I've got a friend Penny, and she's like a burlesque dancer. She's a burlesque dancer and does like different shows and everything else. She's been a sex worker for a long time, and she was saying recently the changes in the guidelines in terms of really they're really kind of pushing sex workers off. But she was like, she's posted pictures that where she has more clothes on than J Lo, but J Lo's fine.
Mhm.
And she
Right,
was like, yeah.
exactly. The Kardashians can show full, like,
Mm.
sheer nipple nude
Hmm.
frontal or full booty cheeks dressed glossed in glitter and like
Hmm.
wetness, but I can't even like honestly, I can't even just post a picture like this in underwear. It
Yeah,
will get flagged and removed.
yeah, it's insane, isn't it? So to round up, what is a common myth that people believe about porn stars or believe about sex workers that you would like to bust?
I think a common myth is that we're always horny. We might always have like some thought of sex in our mind, like every normal person on earth,
Hmm.
but we aren't always horny. We do
Yeah.
have to get in the mood. And getting in the mood does require some time and some foreplay. We aren't just like constantly lubed up fuck sluts where you can just jam something in and we're just like, oh, ready to go. Like we do need some warming up and winding up just like any other human.
Yeah. That's right. That's a good thing for people to know. That's a good tip. So, thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking the morning out to have a
Yeah,
chat
thank
with
you
me.
too.
Where would you like to be found online?
I think the most comprehensive place to say would just be Linktree at Lotus Lane or at its Lotus Lane.
Hmm.
But if you want, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and my OnlyFans also at its Lotus Lane. I tried to keep it simple for everybody because I do have this shadow banning situation
Hmm.
and I've had a few imposter accounts. So
Yeah.
you definitely got to type out the full ITS
Mhm.
LOTUS LAIN. It's Lotus Lane.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Lotus. It's been awesome to talk to you, and we will definitely have to jump on an IG live and
Yeah,
start
I would
giving
love
out
that.
some sex tips to the people.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you for listening to Speak On. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends, family, co-workers, strangers in the street. To find out more about us, including our upcoming events, head over to Instagram, instagram.com/speakon_. Bye!